Good morning students. In today's session we are going to see Ampere's circuital law, curl theorem, Stokes theorem. First we will see the general introduction for the Ampere's circuital law. We have solved many problems under electrostatic. So by using Coulomb's law and Gauss's law, simple problems can be solved by means of a Coulomb's law. Whereas if the problem is bit complicated which could not be solved by a Coulomb's law, we have solved the same problem by means of your Gauss's law. So where a high degree of symmetry will be present. So if you consider your Gauss's law and Coulomb's law, a high degree of symmetry will be present. So again an analogous procedure is given with respect to magnetostatics. And in case of your electric field and magnetic field, what is the relation also we have discussed in the previous classes. So here we are going to see Ampere's circuital law where we will be solving the problem more easily. So it is sometimes called as a Ampere's work law and it could be derived from your Boyd-Sievert's law. So what your Boyd-Sievert's law states? Boyd-Sievert's law states that the magnetic field intensity, the differential magnetic field intensity is directly proportional to your current element and inversely proportional to square of the distance between them. So it is going to be the Boyd-Sievert's law. From this we can arrive for the Ampere's circuital law, where by solving the problem by using Ampere's circuital law will give a more and more better result when compared to the other analysis. And also this type of law, this Ampere's circuital law, can also be called as Ampere's work law. By definition we can say the Ampere's circuital law as integral over the line H dot dl is equal to I. This is just similar to that of your Gauss's law. So we can define a positive current as flowing in the direction of advance by using a right-handed thread rule. Now we'll see the step-by-step method of arriving your Ampere's circuital law. Here you are going to see an Amperean loop. It is nothing but this is a loop where there will be a flow of direction of the current. Let I1 and I2, I3 be the current. Current entering and current leaving. Anything you can consider. Dot and cross mark. So here if you are considering the dot to be a current entering one, I2 will be the current leaving path. And towards the direction of the current, perpendicular to the direction of the current, the magnetic field, magnetic flux density direction will be 90 degree. It won't be exactly 90 degree. Towards that tangent, an angle will be made for the magnetic flux density. And according to the direction of integration, you can see according to this, it is possible for us to have the direction of your current. So here the current direction, current outlet, that is current moving out of the boundary is considered to be as dot and current entering is considered to be as cross mark. Now Ampere's circuital law by analogous, it is used for the analysis of your magnetic field. It is analogous to your Gauss's law. What Gauss's law states? Gauss's law states that the electric flux coming out from any closed surface is equal to the charge enclosed in that surface. By analogy, we can write the Ampere's law in case of your magnetic field. Magnetic field in the sense you will be considering the conductor carrying a current. So here we will be considering the current element. Therefore Ampere's circuital law says the magnetic field intensity in a closed line is equal to the current enclosed. If you consider any one circuit, for example you consider one AC source. So here I will be connecting one inductor. Inductor is capable of storing the energy in the form of magnetic field. So when you connect it, there will be a current flow through the inductor, and the amount of magnetic field that is energized in this coil is proportional to the current flowing through the coil. Therefore we can say integral over the closed line H dot dl is equal to current I. It is your Ampere's law. Now we are going to draw the Amperean loop to explain the Ampere's law. Here we have current entering and current leaving. Current leaving is represented with dot and current entering is represented with cross mark. And we have two wires. At the right, the loop can be of any shape, but it must be a closed path, because in a closed path only the current will flow. In an open path the current will not flow. So in an open circuit the current will be equal to 0. Now add up the component of along the loop for each element of length ds around this closed loop. Now the value of this integral is proportional to the current enclosed. Therefore we can write b dot ds is equal to mu into I. By definition, Ampere's law states that the magnetic field intensity in a closed line is equal to the current enclosed in that circuit. So it is by definition. But the relationship between your magnetic flux density and magnetic field intensity is going to be B is equal to mu into H. The value of mu is going to be constant, that is mu naught into mu r, and H you can identify it. So by analogy, if you wanted to write it from the Gauss's law, in Gauss's law, integral over the closed surface d dot ds is equal to q. It means that the electric flux coming out from closed surface is equal to the charge enclosed in that surface. So if you are considering the electric flux in electrostatics, in magnetostatics it is going to be magnetic flux. Here also it is going to be the closed surface area. Here also it is a closed surface area. Here it is a charge, and the movement of charge causes current over here. So we will be getting here is equal to I. Therefore, Ampere's circular law states that the line integral of magnetic field intensity around the closed line is equal to the current enclosed in that path. Current can flow only in the closed path, not in the open circuit. In open circuit, the current I will be equal to 0. But voltage V will be equal to the applied voltage. Whereas in a closed path, the current will be enormously high, because it is having a property of carrying a current only in the closed circuit. Therefore, the magnetic field intensity in a closed line is equal to the current enclosed in that surface. It is going to be the Ampere's circular law. The proof for Ampere's circular law we can do it. Now you consider a infinite long current carrying conductor. When you consider an infinite long current carrying conductor, it is going to be H is equal to I divided by 2 pi rho. This particular formula is taken from the infinite long current carrying conductor. Like derive an expression for the magnetic field intensity in an infinite long current carrying conductor by using Biot-Savart's law. In the previous session, we have derived this expression with the application of Biot-Savart's law. You can use this expression directly. Then multiply by dl on both the sides. You will get H dot dl is equal to I into dl divided by 2 pi rho, and the angle is going to be a phi vector. When you take a line integral on both the sides, we will be getting integral over the closed line H dot dl is equal to integral over the closed surface I divided by 2 pi rho a phi cross product with this dl is nothing but differential elemental current elemental length, which is taken all along your circular coordinate system. So when you consider this, it is going to be the circular coordinate system, and it is going to carry the current. If you consider a differential elemental length dl over here, this dl can vary all over this 360 degree. Therefore, dl can be written as rho into d phi, where rho is nothing but distance from origin to the point under consideration. Therefore, we can write dl is equal to rho into d phi. Simplifying the equation, we will get integral over the closed line H dot is equal to I. So hence it is proved that in Ampere's circular law, the magnetic field intensity in a closed loop is equal to the current enclosed in that path. This is the proof of your Ampere's circular law. Now we have to understand why this Ampere's circular law has to be determined. Ampere's circular law has to be read. Ampere's circular law is mainly meant for determining the magnetic field intensity if it satisfies the following two conditions. First condition is going to be if the current has to be flow, means it should be a closed path. Therefore, on the closed path, H may either be tangential or normal to the component. If H is going to be the tangential to the closed path, then it should be constant on the entire path. Now there is a relationship between your current and current density. We can, according to Ampere's law, we know that integral over the closed line H dot ds is equal H dot dl is equal to H dot dl is equal to I. So we know that current is nothing but charge moving per unit time. Otherwise, in terms of current density, if I want to write, I can write as J into S. If you are considering a differential surface area, you can consider to remove this integration, you have to differentiate over on the other side. So after differentiating, we will get I is equal to integral over the closed surface J dot ds. In general, we know that the current density J is equal to I divided by S. If you are assuming a differential surface area, then the current is going to be differential. From this, I is equal to integral over the closed surface J dot ds. Now substitute this I in the Ampere's law equation. Ampere's law equation states that integral over the closed line H dot dl is equal to I, which is equal to I, which is equal to integral over the closed surface J dot ds. When you look at this, here line integral can be converted to surface integral and surface integral can be converted to line integral. So it is the analogy to your Gauss's divergence theorem. Here it is going to be your curl theorem. So we can write the point form of Ampere's law to be, it is going to be the integral form, and point form of Ampere's law can be written as integration over the closed line H dot dl divided by del S, as del S tends to 0, which is equal to limit del S tends to 0, and here we can write it as del I divided by del S. Therefore, the point form of Gauss Ampere's law can be written as curl H. J can be written as curl H. Your Maxwell's first equation in point form in magnetostatics is curl H is equal to J. Curl H can be written as curl of H is equal to J. In integral form, we can write it as integral over the closed line H dot dl is equal to I. This is going to be Maxwell's first equation in integral form in magnetostatics. Electrostatics is different and magnetostatics is different. So whatever equations now we are seeing, all belongs to your magnetostatics. Before, whatever we have read, all belongs to the electrostatics. And point form of Maxwell's first equation in magnetostatics is going to be curl H is equal to J. Now this is your point form of Ampere's law, and if you look at this equation, here we are converting any line integral to surface integral and surface integral to line integral, and this is your Maxwell's first equation in integral form, and this theorem is called as your Stokes theorem. So when you check over here, H dot dl curl H of ds. Gauss's law, I will write it. Gauss's divergence theorem states that d dot ds closed surface is equal to integral over the volume of surface. Just by adding a divergence theorem, we can convert this to volume integral. In the same way, here in case of your Stokes theorem, you could see here line integral is converted to surface integral just by adding curl to the available magnetic density. That is your Stokes theorem. It is similar to that of your Gauss's divergence theorem. Thank you, students.